Diversity is widely present in Australian classrooms and is represented through different cultures and religious beliefs, varying socioeconomic status, people who identify as LGBTQIA, people with disabilities or impairments, and so on. It is because of this diversity that schools need to implement an inclusive education system to cater to the needs of all diverse learners. Inclusion refers to the right to active participation and achieving equity through engagement in all aspects of daily life. Inclusive education aims to provide all students with equal rights and opportunities through a differentiated curriculum and instruction that meets individual student needs and requirements. When implementing inclusive education principles into the classroom, teachers need to ensure that they are aware of the relevant legislation and policies that govern education. Two main policies were created for use in the education system. These are the Disability Standards for Education 2005 and the Melbourne Declaration on Educational Goals for Young Australians. The main aims of these two policies are to promote equality in all classrooms and to ensure that students are successful learners, confident, creative individuals, and active and informed citizens. To encompass the values of inclusive education and to ensure that the aims of the educational policies just mentioned are met, teachers can incorporate inclusive resources and strategies into their classrooms. A specific example of this is the Have You Filled a Bucket Today artefact. This artefact is based around the book of the same name, written by Carol McLeod and illustrated by David Messing. The target audience of Have You Filled a Bucket Today is children between the ages of 4 to 9, so it is perfect for use in early and middle years classrooms. The theme of the book is a metaphor for the effect that our actions can have on our own happiness and the happiness of others. The book explains that everyone has their own invisible bucket that they carry with them through life. This bucket can be filled by doing kind, thoughtful, and compassionate things for others, and is in turn filled by others doing kind, thoughtful, and compassionate things for you. The book also touches on the effect that bullying and other negative behaviours can have on a person's bucket, which is referred to in the book as bucket dipping.
To emphasise the themes outlined in this book, and to help create a safe and supportive learning environment, teachers can create a Have You Filled a Bucket Today artefact for use in the classroom. This artefact consists of a laminated Have You Filled a Bucket Today poster with a labelled bucket attached for each student in the class. To ensure students understand the meaning and purpose of this artefact, the teacher should read students the Have You Filled a Bucket Today book at the start of the school year. After facilitating a whole class discussion on the messages and themes of the book, the teacher should inform students that each day they will draw one name out of a hat and will need to write an anonymous compliment for the student whose name they draw. To ensure that the compliments written by students are kind, respectful, and anonymous, the teacher should collect and review the compliments and distribute them into students' buckets. At the end of each week, the class should come together on the carpet and take turns in sharing the compliments that they received with their class.
This artefact and the accompanying daily and weekly activities are in line with some of the core elements and values of inclusive education. The artefact activity promotes belonging, friendship, and a positive classroom community, which are also important aspects of social and emotional learning. There is a framework for systematic social and emotional learning that contains 5 core competencies. The Have You Filled a Bucket Today artefact and activities help to build on students' social and emotional learning in 3 of these competencies: social awareness, self-awareness, and relationship skills. This is achieved through meaningful classroom interactions in a safe and supportive environment. According to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, there are 5 levels of needs that a person must fulfill in order to experience psychological growth. The 2 levels of psychological needs highlighted by Maslow, esteem needs and belonging love needs, are needs that are particularly important when developing positive student relationships in the classroom. The Have You Filled a Bucket Today artefact and activities aim to help students develop a sense of belonging in the classroom through giving and receiving compliments. The values that are taught through the Have You Filled a Bucket Today artefact should see students becoming accepting of differences and help them to embrace the diversity represented in their classroom. This sense of belonging and acceptance of differences allows students to feel a sense of pride and accomplishment that builds and strengthens their belonging and love needs and their esteem needs.
When teachers implement resources, activities, and artefacts such as the Have You Filled a Bucket Today artefact into their classrooms, they promote an inclusive, safe, and supportive environment. In an inclusive classroom, all students are seen as having something important to contribute, some unique knowledge, understanding, or perspective that only they can share. Artefacts and activities such as this, combined with a positive classroom environment, allow all students to feel as though they belong to a classroom community that accepts, values, and celebrates all forms of diversity.